Some women break slowly, like the drip of sap from a dying tree, and they don't even notice until the whole forest is gone. The light touches the vineyard like a memory, warm but distant. It spills over the hills, soft as breath, gilding the vines in gold. I stand barefoot on the wooden veranda, arms crossed over my chest, watching the last light cling to everything I used to believe in once. This land pulsed with purpose. Now it echoes with silence, with debt, with too many yesterdays and too few tomorrows. The wine doesn't lie. You taste what the season did to it, the drought, the storms, the stillness. Just like me, this year tastes tired. I shift my weight, feel the splintered wood beneath my feet. My father built this place with his bare hands. He died here. Still thinking it was worth saving, I wonder if I'm just too proud or too afraid to admit I've failed him. Alina. His voice comes from behind, soft, but it scrapes something inside me. I turn. Daniel stands in the doorway, one button undone, forearms streaked with dust. The light hits his face just right, making the copper in his hair glow like flame. He doesn't smile. He never does when he's serious. Got a minute? I nod, even though I shouldn't. I should say I'm tired, that I need to go over invoices or check the fermentation tanks. But I don't. I nod. He steps closer, the air shifting with him, warm metal, grape skin, cedar. He smells like work, like youth, like risk. We should consider harvesting a week early, he says. The acids are dropping faster than I thought, could make for a deeper structure this year. I blink, try to focus. Try not to notice the sweat clinging to his collarbone. He talks about sugar levels, fermentation curves, barrel blends. I pretend to listen. But my mind is moving elsewhere, back to last night, when his hand brushed mine in the cellar. And neither of us moved away. Back to the silence that lingered too long, back to the heat in his eyes. He's young enough to call me ma'am, old enough to know what he's doing. And God help me, I miss the way he makes me forget how old I am. Alina, I look up. Should we open the 9 for comparison? He asks. The 9, a year of promise. My husband was still alive. The vines were forgiving. I still believed I had time. I clear my throat. Yes, let's taste it. In the cellar, the air is cooler, heavy, familiar. The walls breathe oak and memory. Daniel stands by the rack, bottle in hand. He runs his fingers down the label, slow, reverent. Then he looks at me. You sure? I nod. He pops the cork, a soft exhale, and pours. When our fingers touch, I feel it again. That current, that pulse. To new beginnings, he says. We sip. The wine blooms on my tongue, dark, velvet, full of ghosts. I close my eyes, try to ground myself. But it's no use. The moment stretches. His gaze finds mine, holds, lingers. And something inside me, the part that's been dry for far too long, shifts. I set my glass down. He doesn't move. Neither do I. There's a silence between us, thick as honey. Something waiting, something dangerous. But it doesn't feel wrong. It feels inevitable. Some women don't realize they're fading until no one remembers how bright they used to be. The late afternoon sun slides across the vineyard like a warm sigh. Golden light spills between the rows, brushing the leaves, catching on the wire trellises like old secrets. I stand at the edge of the veranda, arms wrapped loosely around myself, pretending to admire the view. But I'm not really seeing it. The vines are heavy with fruit. The season's been kind, too kind, maybe, like a final gesture from a land that's about to give up on me. There was a time I knew every curve of this valley like the lines on my palm. Now even the soil feels foreign. Maybe it's me. Maybe I've stayed too long in a story that stopped belonging to me years ago. Alina. I turn, his voice is smooth, but it startles me anyway. Daniel's frame leans against the open doorway, sleeves rolled up, collar undone. Dust smudges his shirt, sweat glints at his temple, and there's something in his stance, relaxed, but watchful, that makes me forget how to breathe for a second. You got a second? I nod, too quickly. My smile feels stiff on my face. He walks toward me, the floor creaking beneath his boots, each step loud in the hush of sundown. I smell it on him, crushed grapes, sun-warmed oak, the electricity of effort, of someone who worked with his hands all day. It clings to him like a signature. I've been thinking, he says, we might want to harvest a bit early this year. Let the acidity drop just enough to get something deeper. I murmur, bolder profile. He nods. Exactly. Could be the edge we need. We talk like that sometimes, with just enough distance to pretend we haven't noticed the tension, the catch in the breath, the silences between words that last a little too long. My eyes flick to his forearm as he gestures, the muscle, the subtle flecks under tan skin. I catch myself, look away, but not fast enough. You okay? He asks. I swallow. Fine, just tired. He studies me for a moment, unreadable, then offers a small smile. It's barely there, but it stirs something. The 9, he asks, might be a good benchmark. Want to open it? That year again, the last good one, my husband was still alive. My daughter hadn't left yet. The vineyard felt full of future. I didn't feel. This old, yes, I say. He leads the way, and I follow down into the cellar, a stone spine beneath the house. The cool air kisses my skin. The scent here is always the same. Damp wood, fruit, thyme. Daniel moves ahead, easy in his body, confident. He selects the bottle like he's choosing something sacred. One breath, two. Then he turns, the cork already sliding out beneath his fingers. With a soft pop, the silence breaks. He pours 2 glasses. Our hands brush when he offers mine, a flicker. But enough. To new beginnings, he says, and raises his glass. We drink. The wine fills my mouth with warmth and memory, plums, smoke, a whisper of something floral. It lingers like a question. Daniel leans against the barrel, watching me, not like a boy watches an older woman, but like a man watching something he wants and isn't afraid to admit it. I shouldn't feel this, I know that. But the ache inside me, the one I've ignored for years, pulses to life. Still holds up, he says. Strong finish. "So do I hear myself whisper. It slips out before I can stop it. His eyes meet mine. There's no smile this time, just silence, heat, and almost. And I don't move. I just let it stretch between us, the moment, the weight of it, until the wine no longer tastes like grapes. It tastes like fire, like risk, like the beginning of something I shouldn't want. But do. The cellar door creaks behind us, then closes with a soft click. Down here, the world holds its breath. Stone walls exhale coolness, and barrels line the room like ancient sentinels. Shadows spill between the rows. It's the kind of quiet that asks you not to speak, only to feel Daniel moves ahead, steps silent on the old floor. He stops beside a familiar barrel and runs his hand along its curve, slow, intentional. "This one," he murmurs, almost to himself. The French oak's really doing its thing. I watch the way he moves, the way his body knows this space. He doesn't just work here, he belongs here. And something about that steadiness, that quiet confidence, makes the room feel warmer than it should. He turns to face me, holding a second bottle. "Want to compare the blend?" I nod. It's easier than speaking. He opens the bottle, and the scent rushes out. Dark berries, spice, thyme. The memory of it fills the room. Thick and sweet. He pours again, this time slower. We clink glasses, a gentle sound that seems to echo far too long. I sip. Let the flavors coat my tongue. It's bolder, rounder, a little wild, like the early years when we still experimented with everything. "What do you think?" he asks, voice low. "It tastes alive," I say, like it's not trying to be perfect, just true. He nods, watching me over the rim of his glass. There's a pause between us, a long one, not awkward, just charged. He leans back slightly, resting one arm on the barrel. "You used to make bolder choices," he says. I raise an eyebrow. "In wine," he shrugs. "In life." A small laugh escapes me, dry, brittle. Bold didn't get me very far. Did playing it safe get you anywhere better? I look down at the wine. It's easier than meeting his eyes. No, but at least it didn't break me. His voice softens. "Are you sure about that?" Something in his tone slides under my skin. I lift my gaze. He's close now, not touching me, not even leaning in. But the energy between us vibrates like a string pulled too tight. "You don't have to be afraid of being seen, Alina," he says. "You're still here, still strong, still." He doesn't finish the sentence. Doesn't need to. I feel it anyway. A breath catches in my throat. My glass trembles slightly in my hand. I set it down, step back, not far, just enough to pretend control. "This is dangerous," I whisper. He doesn't move. "Only if we lie about what we want." The cellar feels smaller now, the air heavier. But it's not suffocating, it's magnetic. I should leave. I should shut this down. But instead, I walk past him, brush a hand across the edge of the nearest barrel, circle slowly, like I'm examining the wood. But really, I'm just trying to steady my pulse. He stays where he is, doesn't press, just waits. And somehow, that's worse, because it gives me space to decide, to choose. I stop across from him, eyes locked. "You're not what I expected," I say. He smiles. "Not cocky, not sweet, just honest. Neither are you." And somehow, that makes me feel both exposed and seen, like he isn't just looking at me, he's reading me, all of me. I exhale, step forward one breath, then another. The distance closes, not with a touch, but with a truth, quiet and slow, settling between us like dust in light, something inevitable, something beginning. The morning air smells like ripe fruit and distant fire. Smoke from a neighbor's burn pile drifts over the hills, curling low around the vines, like a whisper that doesn't want to be heard. I step into my boots without socks and feel the cold leather bite. The crush is only days away. The vineyard buzzes softly, workers moving along the rows with practiced hands. I watch from the edge of the field, arms crossed, the sun pressing against my neck. Daniel walks beside one of the trellises, checking fruit, his fingers grazing the clusters. He talks with one of the pickers, gestures toward the soil, then laughs at something she says. He looks natural here, easy, like he belongs in the golden heat and the scent of harvest. I turn away too quickly, and the motion leaves me dizzy. In the winery, the air is cooler still. I pull a sample from a steel tank and swirl it in the glass, trying to focus on notes and clarity. But the only thing my senses respond to is cinnamon, faint, elusive. Not in the wine, in memory, last night. It was in the cellar, in the air between us. He hadn't touched me, not really. But the silence had felt like a breath we'd both been holding. And when I stepped past him, the space trembled today. It's worse, because now I can feel it even when we're apart. We meet again that evening, in the lab. I pretend it's about blending, that I need his input. He doesn't argue, doesn't even ask why I'm holding a bottle I could easily analyze myself. He just sits across from me, watching, listening. We swirl, sip, discuss tannin and structure. But the words don't matter, not really. There's another conversation happening, in the way our eyes meet, the way silence stretches between sentences. "I've never tasted anything like this," he says finally, setting his glass down. "Not perfect," I say, "but honest." He smiles, and I feel it low in my chest, a warmth spreading, the lights hum. Outside, the wind rises, brushing leaves against the window like fingertips. I step closer. So does he. Our glasses are still in our hands, but forgotten when it happens. It isn't loud. It's not some cinematic crash of lips or frantic hands. It's slower, deeper, a moment stretched between now and what's coming next. His forehead brushes mine. Our breath tangles. Nothing else moves. And yet, everything shifts inside me. Something long buried stirs, not lust, not even longing, need, raw and silent. A need to be seen, to be wanted, not for my history, but for the pulse still beating underneath it. His hands find my waist, gentle, sure. And then, the rest unfolds like a storm breaking after too many silent clouds. But not with chaos, with reverence. The room fades, the night thickens. And in that hidden space, where only breath and light remain. I stop pretending I don't want to feel again. I let the wine run in my blood, the memory of cinnamon blur at the edge of thought, and I surrender to the fire I thought I had long outlived. The knock on the front door comes too early for comfort. I'm still barefoot, hair damp from the shower, wearing an old cotton shirt that smells faintly of smoke and old wine. I open the door with hesitation, already guessing. Sophie. She's standing there with a canvas duffel over her shoulder and a pair of oversized sunglasses pushing her hair back. Surprise, she says, grinning for a moment. I can't speak. Then I wrap my arms around her, inhale the familiar scent of her shampoo, eucalyptus, and something floral, and try not to cry. It's been over a year. I should have called, she murmurs against my shoulder. No, I whisper back. This is perfect. We settle in the kitchen. She talks fast, filling the room with stories about her job in New York, her roommate's terrible cooking, the deadlines she's barely making. I listen, smile, nod at the right moments. But part of me is elsewhere, in the cellar, in the space between two glasses, a look, a touch. Daniel. His name pulses under every breath I take. How's the vineyard? She asks, sipping the coffee I poured too strong. Alive, I say, for now. I want to help, she says suddenly. I've got 2 weeks. I want to be part of it again. I try to hide the panic that flickers through me. I hadn't planned on her being here, not like this, not now. But I nod, grateful and afraid all at once. Later, when I introduce her to Daniel, the vineyard feels quieter than usual. He steps forward, hand outstretched, polite smile in place. Sophie, right. I've heard great things. She laughs, the laugh she uses when she wants to be charming. He chuckles too, a little lower than usual. And just like that, a shift. I watch them, the easy way they talk, how quickly their rhythms align. She asks questions about fermentation, oak selection, harvest timing. He answers thoroughly, animated, and I feel invisible, not entirely, not yet, but like I'm slowly fading to the edge of the frame. That night, we sit on the porch. Sophie curls up in the swing with a blanket wrapped around her legs. Daniel joins us with a bottle of the 13, one of the last good vintages. We pass the glass around, laugh, talk about old stories, late summers, how my husband used to hum while bottling. Sophie leans her head on my shoulder. For a second, I'm at peace. But then I catch Daniel watching us watching her, and the peace cracks in bed. I stare at the ceiling, sheets tangled around my ankles. The house feels full and hollow all at once. Her footsteps in the hallway remind me of the girl she used to be. Her laughter downstairs is lighter than mine. And Daniel, I don't know what frightens me more, the possibility that he's drawn to her, or the fact that I understand why he might be. She's light, untouched, full of tomorrow. I was once. I roll over, press my face into the pillow, and breathe through the ache. She's home. I should be nothing but happy, but I'm not, because something sacred has shifted. and I can already feel how dangerous silence can become between three people, pretending not to notice the truth. The vineyard is louder now. Sophie's laughter drifts through the rows like wind, sharp, bright, unmistakable. She moves beside Daniel, clipboard in hand, pretending to take notes as he explains something about irrigation cycles. They walk close, not touching, but not far enough apart either from a distance. I watch, I try not to. I tell myself I'm just supervising, just being thorough. But the truth presses in, heavy and hot behind my ribs, every time she tilts her head at him. Every time he leans in with that half smile he never used to wear around me, it cuts. She doesn't know. Of course she doesn't. And HEI don't know what he's doing. Or maybe I do that night, after dinner. Sophie excuses herself early. She's tired, she says, her voice light, stretched by sun and wine. I sit on the couch, fingers wrapped around a glass I'm not drinking. Daniel doesn't say anything. He just watches me from across the room, his expression unreadable. When she's gone, he rises, walks toward me, slow, controlled. "Elena," I whisper. But I don't move away. He kneels beside the couch, takes the glass from my hand, sets it down. His palm rests against my knee, warm through the thin cotton of my dress. "You're the one I see," he says, "always. It shouldn't be enough, but it is that night. We don't speak. There are no grand declarations, no explanations, only breath and shadow, and the slow unraveling of every wall I've built to keep this thing at bay. His presence wraps around me, not with possession, but with the ache of recognition. In the dark, he traces something invisible across my back, a path, a name, a promise he'll never say out loud. And I let myself fall into it, even though I know the ground won't be there when I land. In the early morning, I slip out of bed and stand by the window. The vines outside are ghostly under the haze of first light. Dew clings to every leaf like the vineyard is trying to hold on to something it knows it must lose. Behind me, Daniel shifts. His breathing deepens again. I stare at the horizon. My heart is a fist. By midday, Sophie and Daniel are together again. Sorting barrels, their movements are easy, familiar. She calls him D. He laughs when she does. I shouldn't listen, but I do. He tells her about his childhood, about his mother, how she used to leave for days and pretend it was normal. His voice goes quiet when he says it. And Sophie, she touches his arm, not flirtatious. Worse, tender later, I find her alone in the kitchen, making tea. "Do you like him?" I ask, before I can stop myself. She looks up, surprised, then soft. "I think I could," she says. "I mean, he's different," he listens. My throat tightens. "Just be careful," I say. She smiles. "You sound jealous." I force a laugh, and she doesn't notice how my hands are shaking when I turn away in the mirror above the sink. I catch my reflection, older, tired, watching something I never thought I'd have to fight for, and losing, not because he's gone, but because I know this time he won't stay. The heat settles over the valley like a second skin. Everything feels slower. stretched thin between days. Sophie wakes early, eager to help, her voice bright, her hands quick. She jokes with the workers. Shadows curl beneath her eyes, but she hides them behind coffee and momentum. Daniel meets her outside the barn, handing her gloves and a bucket with the easy grace of someone who's been doing this his whole life. They talk, laugh, move in sync. I stay behind in the office. I stare at spreadsheets I don't understand anymore. Numbers blur, dates dissolve. Debt stacks in quiet columns. I close the laptop without saving. When I step outside, the sun is high and merciless. The vineyard ripples with life. Sophie and Daniel are near the trellis line, their heads bent close. I don't interrupt. Instead, I retreat to the cellar. The door closes behind me with a familiar thud, and the silence that follows wraps around my shoulders like memory. The barrels breathe calmly, untouched by the chaos above. But even here, I feel it. The shifting later. Sophie finds me in the tasting room, holding a clipboard I don't need. Her cheeks are flushed, her smile light. Daniel says the Syrah is coming in faster than we thought, she says. I trust his instinct, I reply. She nods, bites her lip, hesitates. I think he likes me, she says, voice quiet. Not just as a colleague. My stomach tightens, but I keep my face still. He's attentive. She laughs softly. He's intense, but in a good way. I offer a smile I don't mean. That night, I find Daniel alone by the fermentation tanks, scribbling notes. I wait until he finishes the line, then speak. Why her? He doesn't flinch, doesn't pretend not to understand. She sees the world like it's still new, he says. And I don't. You see it like it's already slipping away. The words land heavy. You kissed me first, I remind him. I didn't stop you. I step closer. The air between us brims with unfinished sentences. Do you love her? I ask. He doesn't answer. That silence hurts more than anything he could have said. He lifts his gaze. And for a second, something vulnerable flickers there, regret, maybe, or guilt, or confusion. Then it's gone. Alina, he says soft, this isn't what I planned. But it's what you're doing. We don't touch, we don't fight, we just stand there. The chill of the cellar cutting between us. Above, footsteps move across the porch. Sophie's laughter drifts down through the cracks in the ceiling. I look up, then back at him. You need to decide, I whisper, before this turns into something none of us can survive. But even as I say it, I know we've already passed that point. And all that's left is the waiting for it to fall apart. The cellar is quiet, but not still. It breathes tonight, a low, humming pulse I can feel in my chest as I descend the stone steps, barefoot. A sweater wrapped tightly around me, the air is thick with oak, with sugar fermenting, with something else I can't name. I didn't plan to come down here. I couldn't sleep. The house is too full of unsaid things. The hallway outside Sophie's room is dark, but her door is open a crack. I paused there earlier, heard voices, a whisper, a laugh, then silence that said more than words ever could. My hands tremble as I reach for the old lantern switch, Warm light spills across the barrels, shadows dancing. Then I hear it, a sound, soft, rhythmic, not from the barrels, not from the walls, from behind the door to the old tasting alcove. I shouldn't move closer, but I do. The door is ajar. What I see inside makes time stop. Sophie, her back arched in motion, Daniel above her, their bodies caught in the raw, breathless moment of something I once thought sacred. I can't look away, and I can't move. It's as if everything inside me has turned to glass. And all at once, it cracks. When I push the door open fully, the creak is enough to snap them back into the world. Sophie gasps, eyes wide with confusion that curdles into horror. Daniel freezes for a beat. None of us speaks. Then he moves, slow, unbothered. He doesn't cover himself, doesn't flinch, just stares at me, eyes gleaming with something dark and unreadable. "Alina," he says, like he's greeting me at breakfast. Didn't expect company. Sophie scrambles for her clothes, hands shaking, her voice catches. "Mom." It's a single word, but it splits the air like lightning. I can't speak. I want to, but my mouth is dry. My heart's a hammer in my chest. Daniel shrugs, reaches for his shirt with no urgency. "What?" he says. "We're adults." Sophie stares at me, then him, then me again. The truth floods her eyes. And it's not shame I see. It's betrayal. "You," she whispers. "You were with him." I don't deny it. I don't need to, she knows. She steps back like I struck her, clutching her shirt to her chest. "How long?" she chokes. "How long have you been lying to me?" "Sophie, no," she screams, raw and broken. "No, don't." She storms past me, up the stairs, her footsteps a drumbeat of rage and disbelief. I turn to Daniel. He finishes buttoning his shirt, lifts a glass from the tasting table, sips as if nothing just happened. "She'll get over it," he says, casual. "We all do." I look at him, really look at him. And for the first time, I see it, not the charm, not the heat, the emptiness, the cold. "You used us," I whisper. He smiles faintly. "I gave you what you needed." The words land like ash in my throat. I don't speak again. I just walk away slowly, each step heavier than the last. Above, the house is silent now. But inside me, everything is breaking. And this time, there's no one left-o pick up the pieces. The silence after Sophie left was worse than the screaming. No door slam, no note. Just the echo of her voice breaking through the cellar walls. And then, nothing. I found her room empty the next morning, the bed unmade. A single mug in the sink. Her boots gone. Daniel was already gone too. No goodbye, no explanation. Just a dent in the cushions where he used to sit, and the faint scent of cedar that took days to fade. I walked through the house like it had swallowed itself. Every room held a version of me I no longer recognized. The office was a graveyard of unanswered emails and overdue invoices. The hallway smelled like dust and wine. The porch creaked in the wind. But no one sat there anymore. I didn't cry. Not at first. Grief came in stranger ways. The cellar became my refuge again. But not the way it used to be. It wasn't memory. I searched for down there. It was quiet, stillness, a way to survive the after. I started sorting old labels, tearing them, burning them one by one. Vintages we had blended together, me and Daniel, went up in smoke in the rusted bin by the stairs. I watched the paper curl, blacken, vanish. It felt good later. I stood in the vineyard. The vines had begun to yellow, the season turning leaves brittle in my fingers. I didn't touch the fruit. I didn't taste the grapes. I just stood there and let the wind press against my skin. No one came, no calls. The vineyard workers kept their distance, polite, kind. But they knew you can't hide heartbreak in a place built on patience. Nights were the worst, the bed too big, the sheets too cold, the dreams, not of Daniel, but of Sophie, kept me wide-eyed and aching. I heard her laugh in echoes. I remembered the weight of her head on my shoulder that first night back, and I wondered if she'd ever speak to me again. One morning, I found a half-buried cork by the trellis line. From the 9, the bottle we drank the first time Daniel said my name like it meant something. I held it in my palm, tight, until my knuckles ached. Then I dropped it. Let the earth take it. By the end of the week, the wine press hummed without joy. The machines ran. The fruit came in. The harvest did not wait for my sadness, and neither did the vineyard. So I moved, I worked, I breathed. And every time I passed the spot where we first touched, or kissed, or laughed, I didn't stop. I didn't look back. I just walked. And let the emptiness become a kind of peace. The letter comes in a plain envelope, no return address. I find it in the mailbox tucked between a vineyard supply catalog and another overdue bill. The handwriting is hers. I know it instantly, sharp, clean, just my name inside. There's no greeting, just words. I read it standing by the kitchen sink, the tap dripping behind me. Mom, I'm not ready to talk, not yet. But I don't want this to be the end of us. I know now that I never really saw you, not all of you, that's on me. But what you did, it broke something. I'm trying to understand. I hope one day we can both meet in the middle of that true hand, still find love. I'm planting something small on my windowsill. A little vine. I guess I want to believe that even things that seem ruined can still grow again. Sophie, I read it 3 times. Each word digs deeper than the last, not because they hurt, but because they don't blame, they simply say, I see you now, and that somehow is worse for days. I carry the letter with me in my pocket, then folded into the inside cover of my journal. I don't reply. I can't, not yet. But I reread it every time the wind picks up, every time the vines shift and whisper. In the middle of October, I walk the field before sunrise. The air is crisp, the ground soft. I stop at the far end of the property, where the old vines had to be pulled after disease took them years ago. It's barren now, untouched. I kneel in the soil, press my fingers into it, and I begin to plant again. Not many, just 5 rows. A new varietal, something wild, unproven, but strong, the way I wish I had been. The work is slow, honest. It doesn't ask for anything. except my hands and time. And for the first time in months, I give both freely. When I come back inside, there's a voicemail from a distributor I'd nearly given up on. He wants to buy everything I bottled this year, sight unseen. Says the name of the vineyard still means something. I sit in the tasting room with the lights low, a glass of the new blend in my hand. I take a sip. It's not perfect, not polished, but it's alive, like me. And as the sun begins to rise over the vines, I press my palm to the window pane and whisper to no one, "Thank you for breaking me." Because now I know how to begin. The bottle is unmarked, no label, no fancy foil, just dark glass, sealed and waiting. I carry it out to the porch as the first warmth of spring settles over the valley. The vines are just beginning to wake, soft green tips pushing through old bark, quiet as breath. I pour one glass, sit down, watch the light stretch across the rows like a promise. The wine is young, unfinished, but there's something in it, something bold and unfamiliar. I taste blackberry cedar, the faintest note of citrus, like sunlight caught in water. And underneath it all, forgiveness, not just of him or her, but of myself. The air smells clean, no smoke, no memory, just earth and morning, and the echo of birdsong from the orchard. I reach for my phone without thinking, scroll through old messages I never deleted. At the very bottom, a photo from years ago, Sophie, maybe 7, grape juice on her chin, laughing with wild abandon. I don't cry, not this time. I just close my eyes and say her name under my breath, like a wish I'm still allowed to make. A new message arrives as if summoned from her. It's a photo, a single clay pot on a narrow windowsill, a tiny vine coiled upward, held together by twine and hope. Beneath it, 4 words, a piece of home, growing. I place the phone beside my glass. Let the quiet hold me. Let it become a kind of music. This vineyard isn't what it used to be, neither am I, but the roots are still here. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough. I raise my glass to what remains, to what returns, to what never left.